When this episode debuted, nobody knew just how truly disturbing this episode would be. The topic, which was very sensitive in nature, was about the confronting of the reality of death and how little control we really have over our own lives. This was a topic that Rod was very familiar with, as he had experienced death firsthand in his personal life. It was a topic he would cover again and again on the Twilight Zone, with such episodes as One for the Angels.
I mean a big pitch. A pitch big enough for the skies to open up.
The Purple Testament.
Everybody says you know who's going to get it and who isn't. Well, how about it, Lieutenant? Give us a break, huh?
And The Passerby.
You see, my dear, I'm dead too.
With Twilight Zone running over budget, CBS asked Rod to cut his expenses for the second season. By this time, though, more than half of the episodes of the season had already been shot. They decided to shoot the next 6 episodes on videotape in order to cut costs. They'd use a smaller cast and more intimate setting for the episodes. Then they would transfer the videotapes to film later for the syndication packages. The 6 episodes were all shot in a row, but were broadcast out of order. The last one taped was this episode, Long Distance Call. In the episode, 5-year-old Billy, played by a very young Bill Mumy, is having his 5th birthday party with his parents and grandmother all there. Grandma is stealing all of Billy's attention, and Mom is not very happy.
Ma'am, this is the one I want you to open next. Wait till you see it. This is the one you asked for, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Billy, don't you want to see what Grandma got you?
It's a toy telephone, and she says that with it, he can always talk to Grandma, even when she's not here. Grandma gets emotional, and the boy asks her,
Why are you crying, Grandma?
I don't know, my angel. Maybe because I won't be here with you for very long.
The boy keeps asking why, and when Chris, her son, tells the boy his grandma will be here next year and the year after that, she tells her son, Chris,
No, don't lie to him. I will be gone.
The acting here is superb, and you're really drawn into the family and can see each person's reaction to the situation. Grandma and Billy play talk briefly on the telephone.
Is there somebody who wants to talk to Grandma?
It's me!
And everyone has a little nervous laugh until Grandma gets up out of her chair, and by her expression, you can tell she isn't feeling well. We break here for Rod's monologue, which he had to rewrite several times before he was happy with it. Rod again gives Death a personality, calling it Mr. Death.
As must be obvious, this is a house hovered over by Mr. Death.
And comparing life to a 3-act play, with the 3rd act being the final act of life. Now, as everyone waits in the living room, the doctor walks down the steps shaking his head. Grandma doesn't recognize her own son Chris anymore, but thinks that Billy is her real son.
No, my son was taken away from me by a woman. This is my son now, Billy.
Soon after that, she passes away, and Billy, who is very sad at losing his grandmother, is soon heard talking excitedly on his toy phone to Grandma.
Who are you talking to?
Grandma, she's lonesome. She wanted to know if I can come stay with her.
Billy's mom is not too happy about that. She starts worrying about Billy's phone call. Billy's father tells her not to worry. It's just a make-believe game, which helps the boy to cope with the grandmother's death. Famous last words from Dad is when Billy is almost run over by a car in front of their house. It turns out that he ran willingly into the road. Grandma's been putting bad thoughts into Billy's head, so the two of them can be reunited in the afterlife. This is a very dark episode. It's made even more so by being shot on videotape. It has a very soap opera-like feel, and the subject matter, with the possibility of a child's death at the urging of his own grandmother, make for a very disturbing Twilight Zone episode. Now later that night, Billy's mom wakes up when she hears her son laughing and talking on the telephone again. She gets up and sneaks up behind him, grabbing the phone away from him. She puts the receiver to her ear, then drops it in horror, telling her husband she could hear Grandma breathing on the other end of the toy phone. Billy, who thinks his mother has broken the phone, runs out of the house and jumps into the nearby fish pond, where he almost drowns as medical techs work desperately to save his life. Billy's father, who's desperate at this point, goes into the boy's room, picks up the toy telephone, and pleads with his dead mother to please let the boy live. He hasn't even begun to live his life yet. Even though the production values of the 6 videotaped episodes were of poor quality compared to the rest of the series, the strength of the writing, characterization, and intimate nature of the cast are enough to pull the episode up to typical Twilight Zone quality. This particular episode sends shivers up the spine, dealing with a highly sensitive subject which anyone with a child would be terrified of. To think that a child's own grandmother, even after death, would try to tempt a young child to join her in the afterlife is at once chilling and heartbreaking at the same time. The story, written by William Idelson, who was a former radio actor working in real estate at the time and trying to break into television. Long Distance Call was originally titled Party Line and then changed to Direct Line. Idelson got the idea for the story at his own child's 3rd birthday party, when Idelson's mother gave his son a toy telephone. He later watched as his son play-talked to Grandma over the toy phone, and it stirred his imagination. Now, Idelson just happened to be friends with Twilight Zone writer Richard Matheson, and asked Matheson for his thoughts on the script. Matheson read it and loved the script, and then sent it on to producer Buck Houghton for consideration. Rod liked the script, but he wanted some rewrites. That was pretty standard when it came to new writers submitting scripts for the Twilight Zone. The script was handed over to Charles Beaumont, and Idelson was somewhat resentful of having to work with another writer, as he thought the script was good as it was. In the end, though, Beaumont and Idelson took a co-credit on the episode, with a major change at the end, when Billy's father pleads with his mother for the boy's life. In the original script, the father focuses on his relationship with his mother, but Serling wanted the focus of the conversation to be more on Billy, who was fighting for his life. A last-minute rewrite was performed on the set, with young Bill Mumy having to work longer hours than was actually allowed at the time. With his mom's okay, they finished up the shooting, and although Idelson had a less than pleasant experience on the Twilight Zone, he went on to have a highly successful writing career in television, writing for such shows as MASH, The Andy Griffith Show, The Odd Couple, and The Dick Van Dyke Show. The final product itself was disturbing, but they decided to cut one scene from the episode for fear that the scene would be way too disturbing for television at the time. The scene showed Bill Mumy floating face down in the fish pond, which he had plunged himself into at the urging of the dead grandmom. After broadcast, the episode drew 2 potential lawsuits for plagiarism, but both were eventually dropped as neither charge could be proven. Because of this and other lawsuits, Serling and Cayuga Productions stopped accepting unsolicited writing submissions from people. Even with all of the odds stacked against the episode, with a slash-to-the-bone budget and internal conflict on the finished script, Long Distance Call is still a chilling and very disturbing episode of The Twilight Zone, which delves into a dark place that really hits home to the parent in all of us. Watch this one after dark with the lights out for the full chilling effect, and hold your children close, and be thankful that it's just a TV show. Share your thoughts in the comments below. This is Rich from Rerun Zone, signing off.